Hello friends, this is Christian Wiese. I wanted to talk to you today about the symbol of sickness. The reason why I bring this up is a couple of days ago, something happened in my blog that surprised me. I have a blog on Google that I started in 2010. Daily blog typically has 20 readers around the globe. But what happened was they dug up an old note, and that rarely happens. 13 clicks suddenly on a note which was called the symbol of sickness. Sometimes my bigger notes, those with 600 or more clicks, get maybe a couple of clicks in a day, but that an obscure little note gets 13 in a day, that has never happened. So naturally I was intrigued and clicked on it, and it was a story that was quite meaningful to me at that time, some 10 years ago. I had almost forgotten about it. Let me just quickly tell it. So when I grew up, I had many ear infection. I grew up in polluted West Berlin, and apparently I had a very sensitive system, and I had just as a child numerous ear infection, and eventually with help of medicine I got out of it, but it left a little mark, a little hole in my eardrum. Nothing serious. I swim, but diving is not a good idea. So when the boys were young, they challenged me to dive into the pool. Against my better judgment, I did, and of course within a day or two I had an ear infection. But it was a very strange one. It was very small. It only acted up on particular occasions, and especially, or rather exclusively, when I was angry. So suddenly I perceived not only anger rising in me, but I could also feel in my ear that pressure. I could even smell it as a scent that is associated with it, which is not so nice. So I could feel, sense, and smell anger. And it was a very interesting experiment in the sense that by that time I wasn't quite as sensitive as I am today. Sometimes I was surprised and say, hey, my ear infection tells me I'm angry, but am I really angry? And then when I looked into it, I realized, yes, I was angry. So had it not been for that little symptom, I probably never would have found out. In any case, this issue was eventually resolved. I went 2 or 3 times to a doctor. They never could find anything. But then on the third time, I think, they found it and cured it. And then it went away, never came back, which is of course good. So the reason why I tell you the story is that on exactly the same day when I pondered what the meaning of that symbol of sickness was all about, that my readers had dug up, I suddenly at night experienced a pressure in the jaw area, and I had no idea what that was about. By the time I was with a friend, I had eaten some very spicy food, and she suggested that it might have been a reaction to that. I don't know. My own interpretation is in those periods I've over the years had little hiccups with the energy that sometimes rises into the crown area. I always felt pressure here in the neck, sometimes in the jaw. So that's typically for me a time to do more meditation, to surround myself with clean energies. Nothing so serious, it's just a little affliction that soon passes. And the third spiritual explanation I came across today by somebody I really respect, Ramana Maharshi. He said, he lived a long time ago, he said that when the mind starts disconnecting from the senses, that suddenly we have those bodily reactions. Essentially, that's what spiritual awakening and liberalization is all about, is us disconnecting from the mind. I'd never heard that observation, that sometimes there are little bodily symptoms that might be considered as an affliction or a disease. But then again, I really respect him, so that's certainly something to look into. But I also believe, of course, or not of course, some of you don't, but I do also believe in traditional medicine. I think we should always be open to everything. As serendipity has it, 6 months ago I scheduled my regular visit with the dentist, which is tomorrow, so he can have a look at the situation too, just in case if something is wrong. And once again, as serendipity has it, 6 months ago I was asked if I wanted to take x-rays, which they do every few years just to check that everything is in order. I'm fine with that. And I said, no, I don't, because the doctor at the time was traveling, and I said, what is the guarantee that he looks at my x-ray? So I said, why don't we do this 6 months later? And guess what? That is tomorrow. So once again, we can look at the issue from all angles. I'm sure I will eventually get my arms around that particular incident and will understand why my body was sending me symptoms to look into. But what I wanted to do here is to just alert you to indeed the psychological importance that every disease, you probably have seen how they sometimes spell it as DIS hyphen ease, so disease, dis-ease. That's really what it is. It's a message to ourselves. And just in case if you haven't seen that classic, Louise Hay wrote a book which is called You Can Heal Your Life, where she item by item, body part by body part, identifies what a particular psychological meaning of a particular disease is. So when I read it at the time many years ago, I really enjoyed it. And just in case if there's something that is troubling you, that might be a book you want to look into. My own recommendation is always do everything. Look out for the healthy energies. That's what the awakening is all about. Cut out the negative energies, but also talk to the healers, the natural ones, but also traditional. We shouldn't feel sick. We have the right to be healthy. It's just sometimes a process to get to that stage. All right. Thank you very much for listening in, and until next time, bye.